This video is entitled Optional Arguments to a Definition and accompanies an introduction to STEM programming with Python 3, Chapter 8. I'm James Reneau Ph.D. from Shawnee State University, and I'll be taking you through this video presentation. In this video, we will discuss how to add default values to arguments of a definition, how to call a definition with arguments missing, using and being assigned the default value. And then we'll talk very quickly about how to pass keyed arguments by their names instead of by their position. So what happens if you have a definition where maybe you have values that could be defaulted, that they're the normal value that you don't want to define every time? Well, what we can do is we can define default values for parameters, and then we can just not include them when we call the function or the definition, and the default value will be used automatically. Usually it's the last parameters at the end of the parameter list that have default values, and if that's the case, then the ones at the front of the function would be required because they wouldn't have default values. Let's take a look at an example. So here I have a function called discount, and discount has two arguments. The first argument is price and the second is percent. You can also see that percent is followed by an equal 0.05, which means that the default percent is 5%. So if we call it with only one argument, it's going to calculate 5% discount. If we call it with two arguments, it will use the second argument as the discount. You can see on line 2 that we return the round of price times 1 minus the percent. So by default, that would be price times 0.95. You get the idea. On line 4, you can see that we call discount with only one argument of 100. So 100 at the default discount is, and then we call it a second time on line 5 with a second argument for a 25% discount. And you can see here that it calculated the first one using the default discount and the second one using the specified discount. The other thing I wanted to quickly introduce in this video is the idea of a named parameter. You can optionally put the name of the variable in the def, where the name of the variable up in the definition where you define it, back where you call it. And this allows us to skip arguments or define them in any order. There's a lot we can do with this, and the brief introduction, the brief example I'm going to show is just barely a tiny bit of what is possible to do with this technique. It can get a little confusing, but I just want to show you a simple one. Here's the RTM. If you're going to do this, or you see the need to do this, or you need to skip arguments or such, read the manual. Go online and find a good Python reference. This again was just a really quick. Let's look at an example. So I'm using the same definition that we did in our last example, but look at line 4 where I say discount price equal 100. Tells it that the 100 goes into the price variable and the percent variable isn't passed. Look at line 5 where I discount percent equal 0.25 and price equal 100 it allows me to define the arguments in a different order than they'll actually be received up in the definition. So there's an example, and you've already seen this when we were dealing with files, and you've seen this when we were dealing with some other things where you had to pass an argument by name. But I just wanted you to see an example of it again and understand really why we were doing it, that we've done it in other examples before. This presentation is copyright 2020 by James Reneau Ph.D. You can contact me at any time at jreneau@shawnee.edu. Remember, this work is licensed under Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike 4.0 International License, and I would like to say thank you very much for watching.